bin Ibrahim, and Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah binti Datuk Dr. Wan Ismail, Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Syed Mokhtar Al-Bukhari and Tuan Sri, Yang amat berhormat Tuan Ahmad Fahmi bin Muhammad Hadir, Minister of Communication and Digital, Yang berbahagia Datuk Kamarul Zaman Mat Saleh, the Mayor of Kuala Lumpur, Excellency, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen. The exhibition, Orientalist Painting Era or Mirage, is the latest chapter in a long history. The relationship between Europe, America, and what used to be called the Orient was explored by the Islamic Arts Museum Malaysia 15 years ago. In a pioneering exhibition, we examine this influence focusing on decorative art of the East and the West. There was one vital ingredient missing there, the paintings. With our latest exhibition, we are displaying for the first time one of the world's most comprehensive collection of Orientalist painting. Our museum purpose is to highlight not just the achievement of Islamic culture, but also the interrelated with other cultures. Our Islamic arts collection looks at 1,400 years to the meeting places, as complex as anything in the 21st century. The present temporary exhibition focuses instead on the 200 years of more recent encounters. This was not always with time, but with much more curiosity. It is this quest for understanding that we are trying to rekindle. It was travel that helped satisfy those with the will to learn. Although journeys were still uncomfortable in the 19th century, distance has reduced by rail and steamship. Travel has changed a lot, and so has the concept of East or the Orient. For this exhibition, we describe Middle East and North Africa. Artists with a true sense of adventure travel and live among Muslim communities. Others stay close to the comfort of their studios. Both categories of artists created works that enable the growing population of Europe and America to see many different Orients. Most of the paintings struck a chord with the Western audience. Many show the world was worth the respect and intellectual inquiries. The artists themselves were as varied as their subject matters. This exhibition showed the true diversity of work. Women artists feature prominently. The most important of all is Elizabeth Vigée Lebrun, the 18th century French woman who painted objects such as Queen Marie Antoinette. In our collection, we have a huge portrait of Muhammad Darwish Khan, an ambassador of Tipu Sultan, ruler of Mysore in southern India. When Muhammad Darwish visited the royal court in 1788, King Louis XVI gave Vigée Lebrun permission to paint the most talked about celebrity visitor of that era. She also has to win the approval of the ambassador, which was much more difficult. Another French female artist with great significance is Harriet Brown. Her painting in our collection presently is on the way back from Zurich, where it is part of a major Swiss exhibition. This is probably the only artist able to paint an Ottoman harem as it really was. Being a woman and from the elite society meant she was granted by the Ottoman Sultan access to the space where it was entirely off-limit to the male painters. Ladies and gentlemen, during the 19th and the 20th century, France was a magnet of artists from around the world. Part of this reason was J. L. Jarreau. He was not only a prolific Orientalist painter, sculptor, and traveler. He is also a teacher to almost every Orientalist artist of his time. His influence can be seen in many works by Austrian and German who settled in Paris. The most important of these was Ludwig Deutsch. As with Jerome, his brush stroke was as fine as ever been painted. George ever used magnifying glasses for his painting work. Artists from the US also made their way to Paris before settling down in North Africa and further east. Patrick Richmond and Edwin Ludwig was the most acclaimed American Orientalist in their days. Despite having background that had little to do with Islamic world, they would paint from a profoundly spiritual view after their travel. Among the most remarkable Orientalist artists was Osman Hamdi Bey, an Ottoman museum director and amateur painter who made a huge impression in Paris. His painting of a young woman reading was the most talked about exhibit that we sent to the British Museum in a joint exhibition in 2019. This exhibition devoted to cross-current of influence in decorative art. Orientalist painting were as impressed by the material of culture of the Islamic world as the places and the people. It might be the weapon that decorate artist studio, royal palaces of Europe, or ceramic hall by the unsung 19th century ceramist Theodore. The inspiration came from the Islamic world and was interpreted in many ways. The same level of culture, connectivity, and curiosity from the West has rarely been seen over the last 100 years. Similarly, in Asia, few art lovers have been able to view this painting that was so admired in Europe and in America in the past. I would like to thank the curators of this exhibition, Lucien Digis and Reka Verma, also to the museum display team, graphic designer, conservator, and all other support staff for presenting a display that is just not only informative, but also bring the quality and creativity of art that can appeal to the whole humanity. My thanks goes to Yang Amat Berbahagia, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, who is here together with us, showing his support to our effort in sharing the beauty of this Orientalist painting as an element of Islamic art to all. Thank you, Yang Amat Berhormat. Lastly, to all our guests at the Islamic Art Museum Malaysia, I hope you will enjoy viewing this exhibition, and I hope to welcome you again in joining us to celebrate our museum 25th anniversary in December 2023. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to Tuan Syed Muhammad Al-Bukhari. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please invite Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Syed Mukhtar Al-Bukhari, the chairman of the Al-Bukhari Foundation, to share a few words with us.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam and good afternoon to our guests of honor, Datuk Seri Ibrahim and Perasmian Pameran, and my sister Seri. First, I wish to welcome and thank guests of honor, Datuk Seri Anwar, for taking time off for his busy schedule to be with us today to launch a unique exhibition called Orientalist Painting Mirror. I wish to welcome and thank our distinguished guests, diplomat, business leader, international guests, art expert, the media, and special friend of the museum for being here for the launch of this exhibition. Our museum, although young and small by world standard, has one of the largest collection of Orientalist painting in the world, where I think the credit goes to my brother Syed Muhammad, where he collected so usually we part of music today. And we wish to share this painting with you and our visitors during the exhibition that runs 2nd June to 15th October this year. For me, today is a special for another reason. It is the first time I'm making public speech. well known as a great public speaker. Please forgive me, my dear Abang, if I stumble. However, I feel it's time for me to share the untold story of this museum. The museum where we all gathered now will not be here if not the effort of someone I look up to and I call Abang. The Abang is a secret. I will tell you later who's an Abang. I first met Abang in Penang in 1984 when I was a kampung boy from Kedah with big dreams. I was a small entrepreneur who wanted to take up the opportunity for Uyghur Trust under the new economic policy to grow my business. Abang was a public figure. When I was introduced to him, he had a book in his hand. I was told he is a reader, a thinker, and a philosopher. That is my first. Okay. For me, sorry, I missed one word. Okay. Philosopher. Abang and I are different. However, I have come to realize that we are similar in some ways. We both believe in doing our best to uplift deserving people. For me, business is about charity as well. When I earn, I give away a substantial amount to help the unfortunate. When I brought back my first income in 1976 July, I remember July 1976, 1,500. So I told my mother, I'm bringing back to give you tomorrow 1,500. That's my first income. So my mother said, oh, yeah, I will receive your money tomorrow. But when I give her 1,500 on that day, he said, 750 ringgit is for your brothers and sisters. We are poor, but they are poorer people. So he took the 750, he said, I've given you 15 names. These are all unfortunate, they are neighbors, Indian, Chinese, and you have to go and distribute yourself. So that time I got a motorcycle, Honda 70cc, so I went and distributed. So half she taken away. That is in 1976. That is the beginning of my journey after that. So, so the next one, something that I've done from day one, a businessman at first, it were ad hoc donation. Later I become more structured under the Al-Bukhari Foundation. The ad hoc is through my mother, then when Al-Bukhari Foundation is formed, so it's more structured. Abang is a man of all seasons, a man of substance and influence. And I does want he can to improve people's life. That means he always think of improving people's life. He create opportunity for the poor to live better life. He also want businesses to grow, to provide jobs and build prosperous nation. That's what my reading on my mom. As someone who believes in talent, especially Uyghur, he advised, I missed one page. Sorry, I missed one page. Knowing Abang, I turned him for advice when I wanted to grow my business in the next level. I wanted to enter the corporate world but faced problems. This was in the early 1990s when Malaysia was experiencing a boom. The corporate world had many well-known names doing big business. They were so visible and every move they made was reported in the news. In comparison, I was nobody. When I tried to bid for a privatization project, they said I did not have the financial resources or capabilities to deliver. They also blackened my name with false information. Even the Prime Minister then, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, began to believe this and had a bad impression of me. I was sad but knew that I had to do something to fight for my survival and fairness. Distinguished guests, under this condition, I was fortunate to have Abang and I approached him on what to do. He was known for his open door, encouraging business people and trying to solve their problem. Abang have heard the rumors about me. As someone who believes in talent, especially in he advised me to bid. Then the Prime Minister of Mother explained to myself. But he left it to me to get an appointment. After much trying, I was able to get an appointment with then the Prime Minister on 16th of January 1997. Abang became personally involved preparing for me for my meeting with the Prime Minister. He told me that I cannot make any mistake and that this was the only chance to save my business and my name. He spent hours watching me on what to do, what to wear, how to speak. He rehearsed me with him, and as a Prime Minister, he asked me. I remember this. Distinguished guests, sorry I have to tell this untold story today. I hope you all are not bored to hear this. My do or die moment finally arrived. I entered the Prime Minister room alone, and there was no sila masuk or sila duduk or anything to ease my tension. I was under intense pressure when I made my presentation to the Prime Minister, explaining my current and future project, as well as the allegation against me. The time allocated was 30 minutes, and then it ended 70 minutes. Throughout, the Prime Minister was silent and stunned. As coached by Abang, I left my presentation document when I left the room. Sorry, I'm trying to miss this thing. Yeah, I think I got it. Sorry about that. Abang told me that, sorry for that, Abang told me it was a Prime Minister leadership style to read everything in detail when he is alone before he makes any decision. A few days later, the Prime Minister telephoned me to say the matter up in the north is settled. That means Dr. Mahathir accepted my explanation. I was overjoyed. Abang also followed up and informed me that he heard that the meeting had gone down well. The North Project is the Sharifah Center of Excellence in Al-Usta. That is where the Al-Baharu University is now located. After a few meetings, Dr. Mahathir asked me to build this museum. In May 1997, we had a groundbreaking ceremony. The museum opened on 12 December 1998. And this year is 25 anniversary. Alhamdulillah. The meeting with Dr. Mahathir was a breakthrough for me. It was the beginning of the next chapter. Hello? Okay. This is important. Make sure you okay. Now is the prime time of the whole thing. My abang is 9, then our guest. Hello? Okay. Can you hear? Boleh. I have to repeat again. My abang is none than our guest of honor, the guest of honor, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Datuk Seri Ibrahim. He has been my abang for many other businessmen as well, resolving issues so they can grow and make Malaysia a better place. For me, if not for abang, I could not stand here today or have this museum or the foundation because of the earlier issue that abang helped me to solve. And today, although abang left me for a while, I managed to manage the whole business and develop these three groups today: MMC, DRB, and Tribute. If not for abang, there will be no museum, no Al-Bukhari University. There are now leaders of Al-Bukhari Foundation. For what I know him, abang is a leader who believes in uplifting Malaysian society. He is a Malay leader who leads multi-cultural nation with care and compassion. He creates opportunity, he changes the future for the better, and I am an example. Thank you very much for my dear abang, and also I'm glad today my sister Liza is here. As I said earlier, distinguished guests, the museum is 25 years old, and it has become a heritage destination and place of learning. For this, I'd like to thank my adik, younger brother, Syed Muhammad, who is passionate about the museum. And passionate about this museum, and from day one, he has started this museum until today, where the museum is. So, thank you very much. And lastly, to the museum staff, with the team behind Sir Muhammad. And I just informed my abang that we have a permanent gallery of British Museum for 30 years, where I think the Muslim community in Europe and UK is enjoying the Islamic gallery at the British Museum, where my brother spent 5 years. And we call it the Al-Bukhari Islamic, they call it the Al-Bukhari Foundation Gallery of the Islamic world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Tan Sri Syed Mokhtar Al-Bukhari. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, to present his speech.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil karim. Menteri Kami Fadil, saudara saya Seri Baharu dan Puan Seri Syed Muhammad, dari gerak museum di sini dan juga peringkat antarabangsa. Yang terutama dan hadirin yang dimuliakan, saya ambil kesempatan ini untuk menyatakan penghargaan sedikit kepada saudara Sekretariat dan rakan-rakan yang dapat menyediakan satu pameran hari ini, dan Muzium Islam diantaranya terkemuka dengan tahun ini, walaupun kita ada museum di Timur Tengah, di London dan di New York, tapi di rantau ini muzium ini adalah muzium yang terbuka, yang tegak selama berdekad-dekad, dan yang telah menjadi pusat pendidikan, pendedahan tentang seni Islam yang dipamerkan begitu lama. Saya ingin kata juga untuk menganjurkan agar masyarakat Malaysia, Muslim dan juga bukan Islam, mengambil kesempatan ini kerana yang dipamerkan ini adalah karya antarabangsa yang terkenal dan terutama di kalangan pelajar dan mahasiswa. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, of course it gives us great pleasure to be associated with any exhibition with such illustrious displays, and it is a privilege for the country, for the society here, to be able to be exposed to this, not necessarily having to fly to London, to museum, to see the Bukhari Art Gallery, Islamic Gallery there. So you can see the immense work being placed here. I came some years back, one evening, having a private dinner and looking at this place. And incidentally, saw this artwork and painting of Tipu Sultan, which you would know, but Seri didn't. So he was surprised that when I mentioned Tipu Sultan, the history and his contribution, both in terms of governance and also technology and defense in India, in particular I think in Mysore, if I'm not mistaken. So you have done a great contribution. This is a function that can only be performed by those with passion, and you have passion. And a country, particularly the Madani understanding, is not only to empower people in terms of the economy, not only economic empowerment, which is fundamental. But I've always said from the days of Asian Renaissance to Madani, it also required cultural empowerment, the literature, the arts, and it would be unfortunate for a country Malaysia with strong Islamic roots, with diverse cultures, the Chinese, the Indians, the indigenous tribes, are not able to excel either in the arts, on culture, in performing arts, because we are either too preoccupied with economic issues or too obsessed with the changes and the displays from the West. So what you have done, other than the billions of projects, and I've been tough with him, although he's very kind, he made only good reference to his abang doing help, but then I was extremely tough with him when it comes to Bernas. Some of you are quite familiar. When I just called him one day, this is about penny planters, where he has a major contract with the government and privatization, and I'm very concerned or disturbed, not necessarily because of Bernas, but because of the state of affairs. Poverty among the penny planters is sometimes considered as a poverty crop. It's also a security crop, and incidentally, it's also a poverty crop. So I just called one day, just days after I took over office, I called him and said, "Say, your abang would suggest that," I didn't ask the company, and you must have surprised his son. But I said, do something, is it substantial, so that I can just show that we, the Madani government, means well, serious to help the poor. So he said, okay, this was November. He said in December 10 million ringgit, and in 2023 50 million ringgit to be distributed among the poor paddy farmers. So there's also the passion is not only the arts, the passion is also about the poor. He wouldn't have done, because I don't think it's the authority of any government or leader to instruct companies to say, no, donate 60 million. I did it because he's my brother. I did it because I know his passion. I know he's not a public speaker because he spends his time making money. And on the contrary, I do good public speaking, but as I would know, we have some difficulty in certain areas. So thank you for your passion and immense contribution to this country in many fields. And lately, because I was there for the Proton Geely launch, and with that capability, you can then venture to cultivate and support the arts. And some of you are aware that my passion, although I wouldn't be as profound, my understanding of the arts, including Oriental arts, as Syed Muhammad, it's his expertise, but I do follow closely Islamic art, Islamic culture, and of course Oriental studies and Oriental art. So we must commend the Al-Bukhari Foundation, and particularly because of this, it is now 25th anniversary at the end of this year. And we would of course suggest and appeal to more successful conglomerates to do likewise. You have seen the theatres and the museum in the West. It's not only through governmental efforts, but through the commitment, to an extent, passion of some of the big conglomerates who feel that some of the profit should be utilized to support the arts. One of the great German Orientalists, Annemarie Schimmel, whom I invited once to visit Malaysia and participated in the conference on Islam and Confucianism. I want Muslims in Malaysia to appreciate and learn more about Confucianism. And I want the Chinese, particularly the Confucianists, to also understand and appreciate Islam in the true spirit of Nida'ara. And she said, among other things, this very known Harvard scholar, Annemarie Schimmel, behind all created beauty, the mystic sees a witness to the souls of eternal beauty. The ruby is the heart of the stone, which has been transformed into a priceless jewel through patience and shedding its blood. This hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Muslims are the mirrors of each other. So the theme of mirage, is therefore undoubtedly powerful, mystical, and philosophical. It conjoins, in my days of solitary confinement, some of you are familiar with the fact that I have to read and reread entire collected works of Shakespeare with copious notes. Hamlet, for example, among the works that kept me company, reminding me that the purpose of play acting is to hold, as it were, the mirror up to nature, to show virtue her feature, scorn her own image, and the very age and body of the time, his form and pressure. Now that said, we come back to how the West saw the Orient. I was told, I'm yet to see, by the side of that some of the works are not necessarily antagonistic, which gives a very strong message. In the classical work of Edward Said, the great Kesenian scholar, Orientalism, differentiate how the West, the colonial masters, including academics, view the other. Islamic or Arab civilization, Indian or Hindu or Chinese or Buddhist or Confucian civilization as the other, a very condescending view of the other. That is of a general statement. What we need to see today, of course, there are exceptions. There are colonial scholars who would see from a different angle, a humanitarian outlook and purpose, and to see from the perception of the other and not an arrogant, condescending view like most colonial masters. We have experience here, for example, works of Swetenham, Malay sketches, or Hugh Clifford, the former resident of Baharu, on brown humanity, very condescending, very insulting, very demeaning. But again, as I said, though, as correctly pointed out by Edward Said, this seems to be the trend, but there are exceptions. I think Sayyid Muhammad attempted to show in that new spirit of collaboration and understanding that there are exceptions. This is why I maintain the issue is, again, the human soul of humanity. And it is always dangerous in a multiracial society like Malaysia to generalize and to have stereotypes. And but still, the essence, I'm not simplifying or understating the fact that the colonial mind, the colonoscibility, as expounded by Malik bin Nabi, the Algerian philosopher thinker, the colonoscibility is because it's not only the colonial mind, but those colonized would think, reflect, and view as the colonial masters. This is a classic Ibn Khaldun's theory that sometimes in smaller countries, small societies, becomes too subdued to the more powerful civilization. So, the historian Kamel Aydin, in the idea of the Muslim world, depicted the colossal damage of colonialism. Because at that time, half of the world's Muslims were being colonized. But we are now independent, hopefully also no longer captive mind, as one of the great sociologists, Hussein Alatas, referred to colonial, captive mind. It's like colonoscibility. Captive mind is essentially means that you are Malay, you are Chinese, or an Indian, or an African, but you are captive to the type, stereotype thinking of your ex-colonial masters. Thus you have seen Huntington's Clash of Civilizations. And regretfully, this sort of a condescending, arrogant outlook is being accepted by some in the East. We take a different view. We respect and accept influences from the East and the West. We don't see everything that is Western is as necessarily imperialistic. There have been immense contribution to humanity, but we remain fiercely independent, to be able to be selective in what we do, adopt and accept. So, let me conclude after this short pre-answer lecture to thank you and to assure you that this work is phenomenal, because this is one rare display in this country, and I should say in this region. And this is important because empowering Malaysians and society is through understanding, through not only tolerance. I prefer the term appreciating and knowing one another, which is the Quranic term, lita'arafu. The tolerance means you tolerate the differences. The Islamic term connotes understanding and appreciating. And this place like this is an exceptional way to get people to really appreciate and understanding. For those lovers of art, you realize that you cannot go and see this play in 10 minutes, open the museum and leave. You have to spend more time. So since I'm going to spend a bit more time, I hope you have proper tea served. She's not too sure. You have marsalati, you see? You don't have teh tarik, you have marsalati. That means how will it ta'arafu in tea, application of tea taste. So thank you very much. Jadi sekali lagi saya ucap terima kasih. Saya ingin menyeru rakan-rakan pendidik, peniaga, ibu bapa, dan juga anak-anak mahasiswa dan pelajar manfaatkan waktu dan gunakan peluang ini, kerana orang biasa akan membayar ratusan ringgit atau ribuan ringgit untuk menyaksikan karya-karya besar yang tidak boleh diperolehi di jalanan. Dia diperolehi dari Sotheby's, apa dia begini? Auction house dengan harga yang mahal. Jadi kalau sudah faham nilainya dan makna dari segi pendidikan, pendedahan dan ilmu, sudah tidak akan sia-siakan. Sekarang ini musim cuti sekolah. Jadi saya harap ibu bapa manfaatkan waktu beberapa jam untuk melihat, renung, memahami dan faham apa dia karya indah seni. Seni lukisan atau puisi itu pencernaan dari hati nurani yang dilakar dengan bahasa ataupun lakaran yang indah, yang tidak mampu dilakukan oleh orang biasa. Hanya beberapa orang dalam jutaan manusia yang boleh melakar dalam bahasa yang indah atau dalam lukisan yang cantik. Kalau ibarat lagu Piramli, tiada kata seindah bahasa, tiada gambar seindah lukisan. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much to Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri. Ladies and gentlemen, in conjunction with this exhibition, we would like to officially announce the Islamic Arts Museum Malaysia's largest publication to date, the Catalogue of Orientalist Paintings, Mirror or Mirage. This meticulously crafted publication aims to be a treasure trove of knowledge, catering to the needs of scholars, researchers, and art enthusiasts alike. We believe it will serve as a valuable resource, shedding light on the captivating world of Orientalist paintings. We kindly invite each and every one of you to take a moment to explore this stunning publication. For those who wish to delve deeper into the artistic wonders presented in this exhibition, copies are readily available in the museum shop. We hope you find immense value and inspiration within the pages of this extraordinary catalogue. Without further ado, may I now invite Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Syed Mokhtar Al-Bukhari, Yang Berusaha Tuan Syed Muhammad Al-Bukhari to invite our guest of honor, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, to sign the Orientalist Paintings exhibition catalogue. As the moment we have been waiting for arrives, we extend our heartfelt invitation to our esteemed guest of honor, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Syed Mokhtar Al-Bukhari, Yang Berbahagia Tuan Sri Syarifah Zahra Al-Bukhari, Yang Berusaha Tuan Syed Muhammad